Viewers of High Television, good morning to you all. You are welcome to the Tuesday's edition of the program Press Brief this Tuesday morning of the 9th of April 2024. On this program, we focus on the various peoples in the country, around the continent, and why not around the world. We'll be back to give you what they are saying. Just hang on with us. Once again, you're heartily welcome on board the program Press Brief this Tuesday morning of the 9th of April 2024. Our presentation, I am attending Larry Kevin Tabot. Let's start off the program with the first publication for today. Eden newspaper of late Zach Zagadumbo for this morning is our first point of entry. Eden newspaper for this morning have as lead story Belgian Mac Breeze is Lions coach. That is what you can find on that set paper as its caption as done deal. Get to read more on Eden newspaper for today. In that set, Eden newspaper, Finasco A game, the paper reports on the game wraps up today in the locality of Mukundange in Limbe. You can find details on that publication for today. Moving on to at reconciliation tour, Kamasesh Kumba chapter urge to bury differences. You can find more on that publication on page 7 of Eden for today. From Eden, we take you to the next publication for today. La Meteo for this morning says Indomitable Lions. Narcis Moele Kombi plays with fire. Get to read more on that publication of La Meteo for today. From La Meteo, we crossed over to Loge Rapport of Carol Tamba for this morning. Talks of financing internet. Cameroon suspended from Starlink of Elon Musk's satellites. You can find more on that set publication of Loge Rapport for today. Moving on to the installation of the new tactician of the Indomitable Lions squad in Cameroon. The paper gives us a dissect on how the signing ceremony unfolded at the conference room of the Ministry of Sport and Physical Education that was conducted by the minister himself, Narcis Moele Kombi. Away from that publication, we make a stop over with Mita Siong for this day. Mita Siong of Terry Diaga talks of collective decentralization and territorial administration. It talks of how Minister Paul Atsanganji puts on pressure on the major telephone companies in the country to make sure the subscribers are being subscribed with their adequate names, especially in conflict hit areas like the southwest, northwest, and the far north regions of Cameroon, where these criminals or terrorists have been kidnapping and asking for ransom via unidentified SIM cards. You can find more on how that meeting went yesterday at the boardroom of the Ministry of Territorial Administration, as it was presided over by the minister himself, Paul Atsanganji. Moving on to something different, we take you now to the next publication for today. That is Le Populi, the satiric newspaper of Le Populi for today. Reports on the Ministry of Sport and Physical Education and Faker Food. The paper talks of the continuous tension plaguing these two entities. You can find more on that newspaper of the satiric newspaper of Le Populi for today. And we take you now to Jean-Michel Niger calls out to Ferdinand Gongo. Get to read more on Le Populi for today. From Le Populi, we move on to Ondian division with Cameroon Echoes of William Tibai. Cameroon Echoes for this morning talks of to contain food insecurity in Bamusau constituency. Honorable Ngale Daniel distribute 4 tons of maize seeds to population. Get to read that story on Cameroon Echoes for today. That's Cameroon Echoes. Fire raises more than 50 houses in Idabatu, a locality in Tian division, all from the southwest region. And Bombombe wa Batanga slated for April 11 to the 13th of the set month of April in the locality of Mundimba. Moving on to the next publication of Khmer Press. Khmer Press talks of young medical doctors. It says 55% of them are on the road for greener pastures. You can find more on that said publication for today. And this other one from Guy Sange, who comes out with two books that are regarding the African Cup of Nations. You can find details on that publication of Khmer Press newspaper for this day. We now move on to Cameroon Tribune. Cameroon Tribune for today says Indomitable Lions, the era of Mark Breeze opens. You can find more on the National Bilingual Daily, Cameroon Tribune newspaper for today. Improving service delivery. The paper talks of councils in the northwest and southwest regions, what they need to do in order for the improvement of service delivery in these two regions of the country. Identifying telephone subscribers, 60 days given to confirm the crisis regions of the southwest, northwest, and far north regions of the country following the abduction and payment of ransom to some telephone mobile money subscribers that have not been subscribed to the telecommunication giants. Get to read more on that publication of Cameroon Tribune for today. Municipal updates of Victor for this morning have as lead story to cripple terrorism financing. Minat boss Paul Tanganji issue 60 days ultimatum to Orange MTN. You can find more on that publication for today. Contract signing for new Indomitable Lions coach Kombi fast track a toll back track. Get to read details on that story for today. Custom enforces air cargo control threatens to find defaulters, and in that said publication, Zouak municipality jubilation in Old Town Befang as mayor inaugurates water project. Get to read details on that publication of municipal updates of Victor Bamacham for this day. Away from that, we move on to quotidian emissions for this morning. The paper reports on exporting of timber in locks. It says something that will be banned in no distant time. You can find more on that said paper for today. Agriculture, the planting season for the 7 southern zones of Cameroon agricultural season has been launched in the locality of Puma in the Senegal Maritime Division of the Littoral region. You can find details on that information on page 7 on quotidian emissions for today. From emissions, we move on to the next publication for today. And for our show reports on the 2 years of Samuel Eto'o fees as Fecafoot president. You can find more on that said paper for today. Following the signature of contract of the new Belgian tactician to pilot the affairs of the Indomitable Lions squads in the nation. Jean-Robert Wafo recalls on the monumental Samuel Eto'o feast. You can find more on page 8 on the paper of Info Show. From Info Show, we crossed over to the economic newspaper Echo News for this morning. Talks of the new regulation in the banking commission of the Central African sub-region, known in French as COBAC. It talks of a simple and veritable that is being as it says, is it simple and veritable? That is what is preoccupying the publisher of Echo News for today. And as an Echo News, Central African sub-region is the paper reports on the BDA Bank, who enforces the presence as she inaugurates a new head office in Yaoundé. You can find more on that publication for today. Let's move on to the Guardian Post for this morning. The Guardian Post of Christian Ga for this day have as lead story. The Guardian Post have as lead story for today. I think we should, if the Guardian Post is not ready, let's take on to Informa talks of identification of SIM cards. It says 60 days given to MTN and Orange to enforce that identification of SIM cards of all subscribers. This was an engagement taken by the Minister of Territorial Administration, Paul Atanganji, according to that publication. And we take you now to the Guardian Post for today. It says Minad boss goes tough on terrorism financing. You can find more on that paper for today. Crown of shame. The paper talks of Cameroon among worst governed African countries. You can find details on that paper for today. The art publication reports on Acquire Bright on the national conscience. You can find details on that information following the beefing up of security in Acquire subdivision, as it has been attacked severally from Fulani headsmen from neighboring Nigeria. You can find details on that story for today. And speaking on to Nigeria, we take you to the Nigerian tabloids with The Nation. The Nation for this morning says CBN step up measures to strengthen Naira against dollar in that said publication. Twist in Labour PDP crisis. And we take you to this other story. XTCN boss accuses agency of mismanaging the sum of 500 million US dollars. We move on to First News Nigeria. It talks of impeachment. Shaibu lays curses on Edo Assembly lawmakers. In that said publication, the paper reports on labor crisis amidst protests. NLC sack Aburi, NWC to audit party's account. We move on to alleged money laundering. The paper report on court remand by Binance executive in Kojo prison. And the Metrics newspaper for this morning talks of Edo crisis, Stribal impeachment, Obaseki opens up, and in that said publication, CBN gives us new guideline ban on use of foreign currency dominated collateral for Naira loans. The Guardian for today, it says Naira near 1,000 Naira to a dollar as CBN policies stress test bank unlock liquidity. And in that said publication, the paper reports on court remand Emefiele in EFCC custody. In that said publication, still WOPI opposition PDP cries gets Messiah as Labour battle internal bleeding. We move on to the Daily Independent. Daily Independent for this morning, another Nigerian tabloid for this day says Nigerian banks loan environment still toxic. Analysts lament. You can find more on that paper. I will fight till injustice with all my strength, according to the impeached deputy governor of Edo State in South Nigeria. 60 PDP reps ask AG chairman to resign, threatens to quit party. And the Punch for this day says bank gets 3-month deadline to stop forex back loans, and EFCC robs 50 accounts linked to humanitarian ministry, while NNPCL faces $3 billion backlog on petrol payment, according to a special report done by the said publication for today. We come back to the Cameroonian tabloids with a code to Parliament. A code to Parliament for this morning report on Honorable Saye Kigami Mustafa. It talks of an elected Honorable Member of Parliament who has the Bam and Kim division in the center of his heart. You can find more on the various engagement that the Honorable Member of Parliament has been undertaking in his constituency, the Bam and Kim division of the center region. We crossed over to the house paper Quotidienne Sante for this morning. Talks of the ANCDC, talks of sensitization of some 100,000 children to benefit from that scheme. You can find more on that paper. And Dr. Huge Vang, he says how they vaccinated some 323,536 persons against the poliomyelitis epidemic all across the nation, Cameroon. You can find more details on that information on that publication for today. Reality Police for today reports on Minister of Territorial Administration Paul Atsanganji, who calls out on the various hierarchy of MTN and Orange to make sure everybody that is using their telecommunication services are being subscribed. This in a way to curb on the incessant terrorism and kidnapping for ransom that reigns in the southwest, northwest, and the far north regions of the country. The visit of the venerated man of God, Pastor Reverend Professor Reverend Pastor Reverend Pastor Adeboye, that is a Nigerian tele-evangelist who made his way to Cameroon as he held a crusade in the cities of Douala and Yaoundé respectively. Reality Plus newspaper gives us more dissect on that information for today. We move on to Financial Times for this morning on our international tabloid stand. The paper reports on Labour Titans screw on non-domes in planned fund key election pledges, and Diamond Shapes hits in market mode with a warning on federal rates that stays on high. And Daily Mirror for this morning talks of the Hitman and the Clay, and the paper report on Labour's 5 billion British pound pledge will punish tax dodgers. You can find more on that pronouncement of one of the cabinet ministers of the cabinet of Richie Sunak in the United Kingdom. Daily Express newspaper for this day talks of NHS must end long cruel journey for cancer care. Jail those blamed for post office scandal, says minister. And in that said paper, deserve Tory chief defend triple lock. We move on to the Times. The Times for today reports on the solar eclipse that was witnessed across the world yesterday. And in that said publication, the paper talks of Labour set to close non-doom loopholes. To get to read more on that said paper for today. 9 food. The paper says 9 food we should eat daily. Get to read more on the set 9 food many people should eat daily on from the advice of experts in the nutrition domain. And Metro for today says forever toxin in our fruits and veggie. Get to read details on healthy living on that publication for today. Daily Telegraph for this morning says children must not be rushed to transition. You can find more on Daily Telegraph newspaper for today. Council staff earning more than 100,000 British pounds now at 9 years high. And prosecutor post office bosses urges bats. You can find more on that publication of that paper for today. We'll wrap up the program with the last publication on our newsstands, Daily Mail. Daily Mail for today says meet the growing army of British women preparers as reading for doomsday, and rescue surge in the sum of 150,000 British pounds cancel fat cats. Get to read details on Daily Mail newspaper for today. With Daily Mail newspaper, viewers of High Television, this is where we'll put a stop on this Tuesday's edition of the program Press Brief. Thanks immensely for the privilege of your company, as tomorrow the midweek edition will be having someone to talk us through the various polemics of the set newspapers when we come your way tomorrow.